Hey guys, today we are going to make the main base pages for this album that we're currently working on, and we're going to sew them into our binding. And then we may even put the binding strip into the cover. So in the last video we made the covers and we prepped the binding piece. For the album, we are making the Sugar Cookie album. This is the paper collection that we are using. All the links are down below. I have an Amazon store specifically for this, and I also have links to other stores for that collection down below. And we are doing the basically amazing, charming B-sized album. So there's also a playlist specifically for this album if you want to start from the beginning and work your way through. I will have that linked up here and down below. And the last video that we just did, this video here, I'll have that linked down below as well. My name is Jennifer and I am Jenofeve Designs. So we're going to get started on the pages. So with this type of binding, we need to go ahead and kind of figure out what we want to make before we sew them onto the fins. Because we can't put this into here until we know what we're going to put in the book. Okay, so what I've decided to do, since it's so late in the season, Christmas season, and we're making a Christmas album, I decided to do both fins the same. So whatever we do in the first fin, we're going to repeat that in the second fin. So we may decorate that, embellish them and decorate them a little bit differently, but we are going to, the page setup is going to be the same. Okay, I just think that'll make it easier. That way you can do the double of everything, and you can do it without needing a video. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can do it in video, and then you can do both page setups, and we should be able to get it done quicker that way, because again, it's what, 20 days till Christmas or something like that. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so we're going to make a quick Christmas album the best we can. So we're using the stitched accordion binding. I have a video where I did that specifically, but we're going to do it again today. I'm going to add the pages that I'm using in the description box down below as well. That way you will know what to print off if you're following me exactly. You don't have to follow me exactly, but if you're following me exactly, it is linked down below. Or not linked, it is, it is listed down below. There's also going to be timestamps too. If you want to jump around, you totally can. Okay, so I'm using Charming, but if you wanted to use the Graceful Decorative Edge add-on, you totally can. They're exactly the same, except the edge is different. So whatever page I use in the Charming, you can definitely use in the Graceful if you're using the Graceful. So here's the pages you're going to need. I've already prepped one set of pages, so whatever I tell you, you're going to need double. I guess I should make that clear in the description box. So for one fin, in the foundations, you're going to use the main base page B, 8B. Okay, so I printed 2 of those off onto 80-pound cardstock, and I just printed the plain. So you're going to need 2 per fin. So you're going to need 4 of these for 2 fins, if you're following exactly along with me. And that's what you're going to need out of the foundations. And then out of the Charming, you're going to need 2 of page 10D. So the Graceful page 10D is exactly the same, except it has the Graceful edge. Okay? So you're going to need 2. I just printed the plain onto 80-pound weight cardstock. I have it linked to my Amazon list specifically for this project. That's linked down below. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to make sure to tell you different options. So when I was telling you, like, this is the main base page. Like all the other albums that we've made with the Basically Amazing, we've left the long fin on, the long tab on, tab, fin, whatever you want to call it. And then we attach this to the fin of the binding, directly to the fin of the binding. Let me go get one of those albums just so I can show you. I'll be right back. Okay, this is last year's Christmas album. This is the Basically Amazing D-sized album. I have a whole video series playlist for this album as well. I will link that up in the cards and down below if you want to check that out. So this is the smallest version, and this was the first one we made. Matter of fact. Okay, so here is, this is the more the stack the deck binding system. Whoops. by Laura Dennison. It's like, you know, they're layered on top of each other, stacked on top of each other. Whoops. I got stuff. I never did attach things down. I never did go finish it, you guys. Anyway, so here's one fin. So that would be the equivalent of this. Okay, so one side. So what we would do with the foundations, the new way that we did it then, was we took this piece, this long tab, and we attached it to the binding piece, and then that was our page. So it's attached like that. See? I don't know if you can see, which this is an amazing way to do, because then you could just keep adding pages on top of pages on top of pages on top of pages if you needed it. If, you know, the more pages you needed to add, you can. And then when you're done, you just mat those, you know, you mat those fins or tabs, and nobody's the wiser. So that's a really great way to also add pages onto your binding, and you can do that still if you were using this binding piece. You can still add pieces on the side. So that was the one way we did that was the new way we did the binding, and when I first introduced the Basically Amazing, that's the way we've done all of them so far. So you can totally do it that way still. This is just a new fun way of binding, so I wanted to share it with you. It's not new. You know, this has been around forever. We just haven't really been using it in our memory keeping, album making. So I think it's a great way, and it's super flexible. Like in the prototype here, you know, it's stitched on there. I don't know how well you can see, but it's stitched on there, and the pages just turn super nice. I mean, it's flexible. They lay flat. Love it. Love it, love it. So this is one of the new bindings, and then the elastic, accordion elastic, is one of the new bindings. I think I'm making sense. I think you guys understand. I think the more I talk about it, maybe the more confusing I make it. So this is just the new binding that's included in the add-on. So it's a system the templates are available on my Etsy shop. Those are linked down below. So there's the foundations, and then there is the add-on decorative edges, and then there's the add-on scrap journal, and then there is the add-on photo mats. So you have to start with the foundations, and then everything else, you know, it just makes your options limitless. You can just do so many different things. So in the foundations, there's one type of binding, and then the decorative edges, there's another type of binding, and then in the scrap journal, there is another type of binding. So you get to choose whichever ones you want. Okay, this is the one we're doing. Now we're doing the stitch binding, and let me show you what you need to do. So I've already prepped one. So you're going to need 4 8Bs from the foundation and 4 10Ds from the decorative edge to do these 2 fins. So on one of these, we're going to leave the one long strip. Let's do it like this. We're going to leave one long strip and take the top and the bottom strip off, a tab off. Let's call them tabs. I've been trying to keep my little scraps so we can stamp on them, little sayings and stuff. But I am going to take that extra bit. My printer has been, every once in a while I need to go in and like tighten those little edges that your paper butts up to, so when you're like printing on certain size paper, you know, mine gets loosey-goosey, and I think that's why it ends up printing funky. So 8B, I left one long tab on one, and then on the second one, I'm removing all of the tabs. And then on these two, we're not going to be using the short piece. We're not going to be using the small pockets. So I'm just going to take those off and put them aside. We don't need them for now. We might use them, I think we're going to use them one on the cover, maybe. Or no, we're going to use them later. But yeah, do not throw these away. Okay, so same thing. On one of them, we're going to leave the long tab. Actually, on one of them, we're going to leave the long tab. and the 2 short tabs. So I'm just going to neaten it up a little bit. And then on the other one, we're going to take all the tabs off. So now I need to trim this up and trim this edge, this decorative edge. Now I'm just gonna, I know a lot of people don't like to do this type of cutting, and I understand, but I'm just here to tell you that you do not, it does not have to be perfect. It doesn't really, I mean, you can, if you want, try to match these up. Like you could go ahead and attach these 2 together and cut them out at the same time, but I feel like that might be harder on your hands to cut through 2 layers of cardstock, but you can totally do that, no problem. But it doesn't really matter that much in the end after everything is matted. So you just take your time. I'm using giant scissors for whatever reason. I don't know why. I think it cuts these longer pieces better. And you want to turn your paper as you squeeze your scissors. Most of the time it works best that way. You get a smoother cut. Right, and look, I'm not even concerned about that. You see how I got off there? I'm going to ink it up and it's not going to matter. Okay. I guess I could have done my scoring first. So there's one. And I'm going to do the same to this one. A couple of things also I want to point out too is I make all of my templates by hand. So they're not computer made, like I don't use a program to make the templates. I draw all of these things out by hand, especially like decorative edges and things like that. I make even the rectangles and squares, I make them all by hand. I do not rely on a program to make those. And the reason I do it that way is because handmade products are not perfect. They're not meant to be perfect. They're meant to be handmade. There's something really special about a handmade item versus a store-bought item. So I feel it's important to make everything by hand because of that. I think it lends to the genuineness of the item that you're making. Even though I made the templates by hand myself and turned them into a digital product for you guys to then take those same templates, make them by hand, make the album by hand, it just makes it, I think, makes it look more genuine. Versus a store-bought product. So that's why I do the way I make my templates the way I do. But that also means that there are some irregular, oh, I can't even say it. They're not perfect. They don't match up perfectly. Like if I was to flip this way, they're not going to be the same. So I'm going to show you that. They're not going to be the same. They're slightly different. So that being said, you may want to take 2 right sides together like this. That may be the way you want to, because this is going to be a pocket in the end. So you may want to put the 2 right sides together and then ink the other side of that page once we get it all, put together. So when you're using a decorative edge, just keep that in mind. You may want to put 2 right sides together in order to make sure that they match better, even though I trimmed them out and they're going to be slightly different anyway. But anyway, so now it's time to score. This is a We Are Memory Keeper scoreboard, and the 2 pieces that have tabs on them, I'm going to score them and get them ready to go. Okay, I also wanted to show you one more thing before we go any further on there, is if if you have the larger cardstock, this is 11 by 17 cardstock, and you don't want to have to, you know, put two pieces together to make one page in order to sew it into something, to make a signature, to make, you know, a set of pages to sew into the binding. You can take your larger cardstocks and then you can trace the page out onto that. Oops. Especially if you're just using a plain, you know, a plain base and you're not printing out onto pattern paper, or using a decorative, or using one of the background designs or anything. You can just simply trace your main base page onto here. Then I'm going to put it in my scoreboard and I'm going to score it. Like that. And I'm going to flip it over and fold it in half like that. And then I'm going to trim that out. Even with the other page, like that. Oops, I went a little bit further. And then I'm going to trim the top part off. And now you have the same thing. We're getting ready to assemble the two pages together to make this page. So you can do that too if you would like. The only drawback is you have to ink both sides of the paper if you're inking. So you can do it this way as well, but I'm going to do it this way for this album. I'm going to keep those. I don't want to throw those away. So now what we're going to do, since we've got these scored, we're going to prep all of those scores. I like to do mine both ways. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I do. Okay, and then over here, same thing. Putting these tabs here. Alright, so now we're going to put some tape on. We're going to flip them. I'm going to have both of them, the ink side up, and we're going to put 3/8 inch, whoa, I guess I'll use that since it fell out, 3/8 inch, this is score tape, and we're going to go to the edge, the outer edge of the tab, there. So this would be where if you wanted to, you could literally just put this, attach this tab here to the binding piece if you wanted to. You don't have to do the sewing method. So it's not mandatory. Alrighty. So then we're going to add tape to both of the short fins. You want to come, oops, I didn't tear that off very well. You don't want to go over your score mark on there. And then on this one, once again, you want to go to the edge, the outer edge. Well, I guess you had to go that far. I went a little far, but that's okay. And then we want to burn it. Well, there must be something blocking my tool. There we go. Then you want to burnish your tape. Okay, for the long piece, we are going to tab. It's not going to be from the edge. You see how I came up just a little bit, maybe a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch from the score on that piece. And then on this piece, we're going to do the kind of angle the two short tabs. This is my garbage bow. If you want to see how I made this, I actually do have a video. If I have room in the cards, I'll put it up here and in the description box. But if not, I'll have it in the description box. And now we're going to, let's see, I think we're going to do it like this time. We're just going to notch those out. We're not going to cut straight across. We're just going to notch them out. Like that. Okay, but we are not going to attach this, we're not going to attach the sides because this is going to be the center of the signature. But we are going to attach the long piece, the long tab, the long fin, the long tab to this piece. So we can start there. What did I decide I was going to do? Did I decide I was going to put, yeah, so in order to have it that way, it's got to be this way. Yeah. So I'm going to take the tape off of this part and turn it around this way. Wow, hello. And I'm going to attach this down. Best I can anyway. Well, there we go. Maybe. Yeah. Okay, so you see how I attached the tape to the inked side? That way they'll match up a little better. So what did I do? Oh, I came down too far. Okay, so now I'm going to match these edges up a little bit and then burnish that, because I may have come too far away from my score when I attached it down. I did. So you see what I did there? We're going to leave it because it doesn't really matter. I have 1/8 of an inch, it looks like, sticking out on one side, and that's because I made too much room between the score and attaching this page down. But that's okay. We're going to leave it. It's totally fine. And we're just going to burnish that on. It's totally fine. I didn't do it. I've already made one of these page setups. I've already put one together, so I didn't do it that way. But again, it doesn't matter. It does not have to be perfect. Alright, and so we're going to attach this piece. We're going to attach this one to this one. Since there's no direction on here, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to attach it down without going over that score mark. Just like that. And we are good to go. Okay, so what's going to happen is we're going to sit this one inside this one. And that is going to be what we sew. This is like the first base of what our page setup on each fin is going to look like. Okay, but before we do that, I need to mark the holes. I've already got another set of, I haven't marked the holes on this one yet. Oh, no, we also need to put the Tyvek. Okay, so I'm glad I grabbed this. So on the center piece, the page that's going to be in the center, which is going to be this piece here, we're going to put a piece of Tyvek right here so that it doesn't tear out, it doesn't pull out. So it's going to be the one on top, basically. So I'm going to get the piece that has the Tyvek. Where is it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Did I already get it out? Oh, here it is. The piece we made in the prep video. And I'm just going to cut another piece. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to try to do 3/4 of an inch. It's probably not going to be. It's just a sliver. Got Tyvek on one side and tape on the other. And I'm going to take the piece that's going to be in the center, and I'm going to put this over top of that. Over top of that score. Oops, I may have got a little crooked. It's okay. Burnish that down, and I'm going to flip it. Burnish that again. Alright. So I'm also going to mark where I need to poke my holes. I should make a template or something. I shouldn't use my binding piece, but I'm going to. All right, so what I do want to kind of determine is a top and a bottom. So I'm just going to mark with my pencil. I'm just going to write top here and top here on the page. And do the same thing to this one. I'm just going to write top. So we're just going to mark this one. So I've got this top and top. And I'm gonna have to get something different besides this pencil, I'm thinking. Maybe not. We'll see. So I'm just gonna line it up, and then I'm gonna mark where my hoe is supposed to go on that score mark. And hopefully I can see it with just pencil. I can. Alright, same here. Going to lay this on here. Alright, but before I start poking holes, I realized I need to ink these edges. Once I looked at my prototype, or not my prototype, my other set that I made, I'm going to take a minute to do that. I do ink the inside of my pockets, like this one for example, because you will see it a little bit. So I wanted to make sure that those are covered as well. This is my ink station. I also made it in that same video where I made my garbage bowl, if you want to make one of those. So this is walnut stain, distress ink walnut stain, or distress oxide, sorry. So on the pages that have the printed distress edge, you just need to really go through and just grab those edges, just so you don't see any white cardstock. But on the back side here, we're going to have to really give it a good inking. Or not, depends on what you like. You can go real gentle with it. So I'm going to get this one inked up and I'll be right back. Okay. I'm not real sure where I left off. I marked my holes, I think. I inked up. I had an issue I had to take care of. Sorry about that. Okay. So I've got everything inked up, I think. Front, back. Yep. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these together with paper clips, and I am going to hold down these little side tabs here like that, and we're going to poke through both at the same time where we marked the holes, and we're going to try to go straight down, and we might make the hole just a little bit bigger. Okay. There's one, and then let's do the other really quick. So I made one set here beforehand off camera. So we're going to do both fins the same. The page structure is going to be the same. We just might embellish and decorate different. And this is not all. We're going to be adding things on top of these pages. Okay, I don't want you to think this is all we're going to do. We didn't even need a ½ an inch for that. Okay. We're just going step by step here. Okay, so we've got poked through both of those. Those are ready to go. My binding piece ready to go. Now we need to get some... Whoa, what was that? Something fell in the other room. Now we need to get the string ready. I'm just using crochet thread. No big deal. I'm just going to cut a good piece, a generous amount, and I'll do both, hopefully be able to do both pages with it, or both signatures. And what did I do with my wax? My beeswax, and I'm going to need a needle. I'm just going to use the same needle I did when I showed you how to do the binding the first time. It's just a really big, don't really need one this big, but I'm going to use it. So this is just some beeswax, and I'm going to run my crochet thread over it a few times. just to get it coated so it won't tear my paper. And it does create a better binding in the long run. It doesn't have to be a super thick coating. You just do it as many times as you want to. Okay, I'll thread my needle and we'll get started. Since I've got a big, generous amount here, I've got to be careful. All right, so we're going to make sure we keep the top of the binding and the top of the signature pages correct. So we're going to start in the middle of the page, and then we're going to act like to start in the back, but whichever way you want to do it, just as long as it says top here and top here. So we're going to go to one of the fins there and go through the middle there like that. Pull all the way through, and you want to hang on to that string. Don't need that much. You don't want to lose it. Then you want to go down to the next hole and go through the binding and the set of pages. Right? So one side looks like that, and then it looks like that on this side. Then we want to go up to the top. Just make sure you stay on that same fin. Don't go jumping around fins. Go back out through. So now you have something that looks like that. And then you want to go back to that hole, the next hole up. And come back through, and now you're on the inside. That's what it looks from the back. Then you want to skip that center hole and go down to the next hole and go through both. This needle's nice because it's blunt. It has a blunt end. I can't poke myself with it. So we go out, and then we go to the next hole up, go through both, and also it doesn't poke your paper in the wrong spot either. Okay, pull that back through, then go back down to this hole here, come out the back side. So we got something looks like that on this side, this on that side, and then we're going to go back through the middle hole, and we're going to come up on the other side of that string. Okay. So we got, here's the middle string, and we got a piece on each end. So I'm going to tie it snugly. Check to make sure there's no loosey-gooseys. Okay. Tie it, pull it just a little bit. And I'm just going to make a knot. And this, it should fit right into that hole, that knot. I'm going to go ahead and do it 3 times, even though you don't need to. And I'm going to trim it off. So now, this set of pages is attached to the binding. And I'm just going to give it a good burnish. Now, there's some paper clips in there. Right? So now it's attached. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I want to ink this edge really quick. The top and bottom of the binding piece. Like that. Okay, so there's one. Now let's do the next one. The exact same way. Make sure the top and the top, make sure they're the same. See, this says top, that says top. Start in the middle, go to the next fin. So no matter how many fins you have, you just keep adding pages like this. Same thing, go through the middle. Don't want to lose that piece. I'll grab it in just a second. Go down to the next hole, come up through, and then go down to the bottom hole. I can feel the wax. I mean the, not the wax, the double-sided adhesive on my needle. Okay. Then you want to go back down to that the second hole there, come back up through, skip over the center hole, go to the next hole, right, and then go to the top. This would be the top hole because this is the top. And then we're going to go back down to that next hole that we came, this one here, next to the center hole. And then back up through the center. And we just want to make sure, there we go. One's on one side and one is on the other. There's my center string. And just, we're going to tug it both ways just to make sure. Yep. And we're going to tie it in a knot. And trim it off. Whoops. And once again, we are going to burnish. All right, so now we got both sets of pages attached to our binding piece, and I think we're not gonna attach the what's this called? Whoops! We're not gonna make this a pocket yet, but I can go ahead and remove those and maybe make it. I wonder if it even is going to matter. It probably doesn't matter right now. So I'm just going to remove the paper clips just so they take the bulk away. Uh-oh. Not sure what I was doing there. Okay. So again, top. Now, let's prep it so that we can add it into our album covers. Okay, so again, there's going to be more to it. We're going to add pages on top of these. We're going to add flips and pockets and pages and whatnot. We're going to add stuff to it, so it's not just going to be these, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's not going to be these 8 pages. There's going to be more to it. Okay. This is just like the base. This is what the building block, okay? All right, so now let's prep this side here. So first we're going to start with the places where we have stitched the peaks. We're going to add tape and glue, I think, to this part to keep it closed. So I'm going to put some tape on one side of the stitched line. On both of these, I'm using 3/8 inch tape, but you can use quarter if you prefer. And I'm going to burnish those down. And we're just going to start with one. Let's see, well, this would be the easiest one to start with. I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, but we'll start with that one. We're going to start with this one. I'm going to remove that tape backing. And then I'm going to add, this is art glitter glue. I'm going to add some of this. I'm going to add it along the stitched edge there. Not necessary, but, and then I'm going to squiggle it over top of the tape. And then I'm going to press it down. And I'm going to press it down. And I'm going to keep pressing it down. Just like this. We're closing that little fin up. And we want to keep, we want to make sure there's enough pressure. Oh look, the glue squirted out the bottom or the top. Which one are we on? That would be the, I don't know, I can't see. Put my topper back in there. Okay. Right. And then we'll do the same for this other one. the backing. Add some glue along where the stitching is, and then we'll squiggle. And then we'll fold it back onto itself there. And we shall burnish. Let's open it up. Maybe the burnishing's easier doing it this way. Yep. Yep, because it comes out the end, the glue does, which is fine. Okay, so now we have both of those are closed in. So now we have this. Can you guys see? We have closed these two fins with the stitched pages stitched onto them. Okay. So now we need to get tape. Now I need to decide if I'm going to leave these on here. These wings. They don't have to be on there. So I'm just trying to think if I want to leave them on or not. I think I'm going to take them off. Because again, they do not have to be on there, because these 1 inch or 1/2 inch spacings, they will be on there. They will be holding it on. So I think I'm going to cut them off. Okay, now my family's home, so you could hear noises that are from other people, maybe. Hopefully not, but we'll see. Okay, so what did I do? I trimmed those two wings off either side, and I put them in my crafty trays, and I put cuticle oil on, so now I'm worried that I'm going to get it on my glue. So I'm trying to rub some of it off. Okay. Alright, let's see, where's the top? Oh, I done ripped my top. Oh, there we go. So this is the top. So now we just need to add tape to these 3 pieces, and if you wanted to, you could do one solid strip of tape if you had the right width, but I don't, so I'm just going to use the, what am I going to use? I'm going to use the 3/8 inch. I'm going to put 1 strip on each one of these spaces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the tape backing. We're going to add a little bit of liquid glue, and then we're going to attach it into the cover. Okay, so I'm going to definitely add liquid glue to where there's no tape, for sure. Okay, and then I'm going to add it. You don't have to if you don't want to add the extra glue, but in some climates, you know, that double-sided adhesive will not stay stuck. It'll like pull up sometimes. So sometimes it's good to have that extra little bit of adhesive. All right, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to lay it on this. Whoops, I've got a little bit of hangover here. I'm not going to lay it. I'm going to put it on the spine piece of my covers, and it should fit perfectly on there. Uh-oh, that got me a little crooked. Oh, shoot. I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. Okay. I think now we're on there pretty straight. It should fit perfectly onto your spine of your album, the covers. So now I'm going to burnish each one of these pieces or spaces onto the cover. Oh, since I cut those wings off last, it's not perfect, but that's okay. Alright, so I'm just going to keep burnishing until I know for sure that it is on. And let me use my other one. See if I can't get it better. Okay. Okay. So now we are all in. Check that out. So we've got 2 fins. So far we've got 8 pages, but we are going to build on those pages. And we're not going to make this a pocket just yet because we might need to add magnets and stuff like that. So we're going to leave that as is. But yeah, so I may mat the inside of the cover with some coffee stained paper. I might do that off camera. But okay, that is all I have for you guys right now. So be sure to leave a comment so you're entered into the giveaway. And that giveaway is only good for this video series during this time period. So if you're watching this, you know, next year or something, it probably won't be good anymore. But all that information will be down below. Be sure to give me a thumbs up if you like the video or if you like the technique. And be sure to subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And I will see you guys next time.